here we start at our baseline, and you'll notice that there's a lot of little peaks and valleys, right? And so usually when altruism occurs, it's not going to be something immediately pleasurable to us because it's part of a relationship with something, right? And so each little peak and valley is going to be some sort of progress that you're making with respect to this thing. It could be a business, it could be a marriage, it could be just a normal friendship, or the example that I used before was actually helping a drug addict, right? And so
Mm.
each little peak and you're actually inclining your way up is when they're making progress, right? Because now you're devoted to something a bit bigger than yourself.
Oh
And
yeah.
so the reason why there are little dips is because usually when you devote yourself to some sort of commitment like that, it's not going to bring any immediate satisfaction, right? Like if you're grinding for a business after each day, you still don't have the reward that you'll have 10 years from now. And you're going to be like, wow, this sucks. I have to keep doing this for X amount of years before I get any traction or the paycheck that I want. Or maybe when you're doing charitable work for someone else, you don't actually get a reward, right? So you just lost time for nothing,
Mm.
essentially, just for someone else's benefit. That's not immediately helpful to you. And that's why there could be very commonly, it happens even to me, especially to me, that sort of moment where you're like, wow, was it really worth it? But I mean, later on, you feel like, oh, okay, well, it was worth it because your relationship improves, right? That's why we have that incline upwards overall, because you're still making progress in whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And so it could be that marriage, that that business, that friendship. But the only time where it's actually really, really dangerous is when we invest too much of our time into one particular thing. And we
Mm.
really have to remember that we are not in control of everything. And that's where anxiety really comes from. Because we could think about, ooh, we could do our best, but they could still cheat. They could still leave you. Your business could still fail. The A second Rona could hit, or maybe a car just drives right through your store. You know, like things could happen. Or in the example I gave you last time, maybe that drug addict relapses, and so all that progress seemingly goes to waste, and that's where it crashes, right? And so we really just got to remember or take a much more holistic and reasonable approach to things, because we got to realize the only thing that we can control is in here. We can only ever do our best. And if we've done our best and we've done all we could with respect to any sort of situation, then honestly, it's out of our hands.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because if that's the only thing we can control, that should really be the only thing that we could worry about, right? If you are the perfect partner, you did all you could. You tried to communicate as best you could with your partner and she still cheats, that is not a reflection of you. Even though you will feel like shit, you will want to kill yourself. Absolutely. I completely understand. But that is not a reflection of you, right? Because you did all you could. It's someone
Yeah.
else who's the issue, and you can't control other people, right?
Mm.
And that's where the anxiety comes from, because we try to apply our own control to things that are out of our control. And so that's when I start worrying about if I'm going to get promoted. That's when I'm worrying about if she's going to cheat, you know, things like
Damn.
that. And so that's where altruism really hits hard. Arguably way worse than level 1 or 2, because at least level 3 actually requires that sort of dedication, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to get out of that, especially if it's something like a relationship that's gone on for several years, and then you got to start off from the beginning if you could find it within yourself to trust someone again, you know?
Again,
But that
yeah.
really relates back to the internal work, because when you can internalize that you tried to control something out of your control, you're going to bounce back way, way quicker, right? And that just comes to more of your perception of self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when she cheats, or if she leaves you, or something, maybe the spark is lost. easy example, relationships. You're going to think of immediately, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, you're
Why
gonna start
did she choose
blaming
someone
yourself.
else? Exactly. Exactly. But you really got to remember then that even if you did the best you could, and you actually do that, it's not like, oh yeah, I told her I loved her once in a while, whatever, right? Like let's actually do the best we can, right? Let's actually make it so that we have no real excuses for ourselves. Like I did everything I was supposed to. I did the best I could. That's on her, right? When we realize that whatever happens to us isn't necessarily a reflection of ourselves, that has
Yeah.
exactly to do with our self-esteem and self-image, right? And that alone could get you through easily the worst of tragedies. Because if she cheats and you realize that, it's like, oh, okay, well, we encounter shitty people all the time. We know that the vast majority of people out there are shitty. She just happened to be one of them.
Yeah.
It's no reflection of us because we know we did a great job. And we just have to
Yeah.
find someone on that same wavelength. And then it all comes back to open communication and actually communicating
Yeah.
what you want to be to each other.
Mm.
It's it sounds like a lot of work, but damn, it's worth it.
Well,
You
well,
know?
well look at the fucking decline, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right? The
and so
decline, you know?
it does take a lot of work, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, mind you, in level 3, because you're putting your trust in things that essentially could fail,
Mhm.
you don't actually need to do it, you know?
What?
And so yeah, I mean, you don't have to get married in order to live a fulfilling life, right? Like
Oh,
there are
yeah, yeah.
there are way more facets to life that could make life beautiful, right? But the
Mm.
only thing that really gets us is that we've over sexualized pretty much everything, right? And so now the general sentiment is that I need someone else to validate my existence,
Yeah.
which is usually in the form of a relationship because everything's over sexualized, and that's typically where sex happens, unless of course we're family members. You know what I'm saying?
The Sweet Home Alabama.
That is. But overall, we really got to think about what other areas of our lives that we're missing out on or that we're not maintaining because we're so fixated on something we don't have, which is maybe a business, maybe it's money, maybe it's a relationship. You know, it could be really anything, but we just got to make sure
Yeah.
that we're not putting all our eggs into something that could fail, right? Which is exactly what level 3 is. Like these are good
Okay.
things in level 3, right? They build communities, right? They make people's lives better. That decline is kind of optional, but it's also without our control, right? So that's just something that we really have to maintain. Because if you don't have that drop, then sure, you can just keep going up and up, but just be careful in case you do get a drop.
Mm.
Oh, so this is like gambling, right?
Not exactly.
Not
I wouldn't say
really.
that
Oh, okay.
because,
Sorry.
well, okay. No, don't apologize, really. If if you have a relationship, let's say, because it's the fucking easiest. It's the easiest one to go off of. If you have a decent relationship and you're employing trust, loyalty, commitment, open communication, and you're able to articulate all your concerns effectively, they're willing to hear you out. And they should, absolutely, because if they care about the connection that you guys have, they want to be genuine. They should they should absolutely love you enough to be like, "Oh, okay, well, my partner has something bugging them." I should absolutely hear them out, and I would make time out of my day to help that, right? Because you're partners, right? And so you can avoid a lot of the terrible sort of situations a lot of people land themselves in through openly communicating, right? And so if you use that little script I gave before, it's like, "Oh, something's been bugging me. Could we
Yeah.
talk about it? I'd like to get your thoughts on it." And then they don't make any effort to hear you out or hear your concerns, or they're just
Mm.
not negotiating with you at all, then maybe they're just not the one, you know?
Yeah.
Because then maybe you should just cut your losses if they're not willing to actually be there for you. Because then that doesn't sound like commitment to me. That doesn't sound like trust to me. Certainly not loyalty. If they
Yeah.
don't care about what's bugging you with respect to the actual relationship itself, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. You should be able to have those difficult conversations. Otherwise, you just have a friend. Like, like not even that, an acquaintance, you know?
Yeah.
It's just shared experiences. Yeah.
And so if they don't do that for you, you should, if you're in a relationship like that, obviously you don't have to tell me, of course. But but if you are in a relationship like that, that could certainly be fixed with open communication, right? Because when you are able to articulate what you actually want to be to each other and really get a solid foundational understanding of where you both are and you get on that same page, then that's really it. That's where the connection is. Because then
Yeah.
you're able to build up from there, right? Because then you're able to set expectations. Then you know they can have that difficult conversation with you. And those should be absolutely essential values to bring towards any sort of meaningful relationship. Not your boss, who gives a fuck, but
Yeah.
your close friends, the family members that you do like, and certainly your partner. The partner one is actually non-negotiable. Like imagine, right? But that's why the divorce rate's so high. Because no one is really going about it in a decent and healthy way. Like go on any sort of relationship-based forum. Like, ooh, I have this problem. How do I fix it? How do I bring it up? You fucking talk to them. What do you mean? What, like, are you? What are you retarded? Like, just talk to them. Ex- just give them the same sentiments you're giving the stupid forum that you're asking strangers for help with. If they hear you out, if they actually love you, they will hear you out and they will try to be understanding and they will try to be accommodating. And you'll at
Instead
least
of asking
have
Reddit.
exactly. You'll at least have this middle ground where you could both come to the table and be like, we should talk about this because it's important to us. You know, and
Yeah.
if it's something important to you, it should by default be important to them, especially if it impacts the
Mm.
relationship. I'm not talking about like hobbies and stupid stuff like that.
The actual relationship. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Things that actually involve and impact your connection with them. And if they can't
Damn.
have that difficult conversation, if they're not even willing to show up for you, my guy,
Okay.
it's not looking good.
It's time.
Yeah, dead ass. And then you just have to find someone who you can have a difficult conversation with.
All right. It's
I
kind
mean,
of hard though, but
oh,
good.
100% it is. But that's also luckily why it's not absolutely mandatory for happiness,
Yeah.
right? Because if think about it like this. If relationships were the main form of happiness in life, then everyone in one would automatically be like among the happiest people around. Look at our
Oh
divorce rates now.
yeah.
Look at broken families. Look at
Yeah.
perhaps even your own relationships. Like, are you happy in them? I hope so. I hope so. I hope you're communicating just like I'm communicating all these things to you right now. But
Yeah.
the chances are like kind of low. Because no one really knows about these sorts of things, or not enough people actually give it any thought, right?
Yeah.
And so it's when we actually adopt these sorts of practices that we make way better connections. Sure, fewer connections because less people are actually willing to go through this process. But these are the ride or dies that you can make
Mm.
using these things. Absolutely. And it makes your life so much more meaningful, so much more beautiful. And it's absolutely worth it. Because the people who aren't willing to have those conversations or who aren't going to be there for you, they're not worth your time. Straight up.
Yeah.
You have to commit. If I commit, you commit.
Absolutely. And that has to be
Yeah.
communicated on both ends, because relationships are a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Damn.
Okay, this is an old one, but it's the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. If I'm just sending you all this love and I'm not getting anything in return, right?
Yeah. Fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, then our country's going to shit. It's not
Exactly.
happening.
That's
Yeah, we ain't
yeah.
tolerant of that.
Do you think it's helpful if I lay it out in the first days of the relationship, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, on the first date, like a lot of people, they try and they don't even touch anything like remotely controversial, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I think
They
that
play it
is the
safe.
fuck that. I think that is
Yeah.
the opportune time to actually get to know them. Because why would I want to waste any time with you 3, 4, 5 months down the line, not really knowing who you are or what you actually want in a relationship?
Yeah.
You know, like you need to
Take
set these things out. Like you need to make your intent very, very clear and articulate your thoughts effectively.
yeah.
It's like,
Instead
what
of
do you want in the relationship? What are your goals? Do you want kids or not? Like, think long term. You know, it's like, what do you actually want to be to someone? And then you
yeah.
see if they're able to do that: trust, loyalty, commitment, open communication. I mean, it's certainly hard to gauge all those four things, but open communication is going to be very, very easy, even in the beginning,
Mm.
because they should at least be willing to have that kind of conversation with you, right? If they're not,
Right.
then they're gone. You know?
Next.
Then that's a really easy, good indicator. You know, then just like, okay, well, I had a great time. I just don't really feel as if we connect enough. Good luck at that.
Yeah. This
Mm.
business deal is not gonna work out. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Exactly.
Then you're gonna do the Donald Trump face. You're
And then
fired.
tell exactly, exactly. You're gonna fire him on the spot.
All right, that's a good. It's actually a good point. I'm gonna take that
Yeah.
down. Is it okay if
You take notes?
be blunt? No, 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 no. I
I
mean,
mean,
still with the level 3, being blunt, does that help in
in terms of
altruism?
being blunt, you altruism really isn't about being blunt or communicating any one particular way.
Oh
It's
yeah.
more about how you are actually getting your source of happiness, right? Like the
Oh okay.
whole point is that we don't want to put all our little happiness eggs into something that could fail. And that means a relationship. That means a business. That
Yeah.
means, whatever endeavor maybe we're trying to help people. Like these are all
Mm.
good things to have in your life, but they shouldn't be the focus of it. Right? Like especially relationships, they should be complementing an already meaningful life. They shouldn't be the focus of it. Because now we're putting all our happiness into something that could fail, right? And that's
Oh yeah.
also something out of our control. And that's very,
Damn.
very dangerous.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah. Why would? Damn. I'm really just really what do you call that? I'm
Mind
really
blown?
stunned by mind blown by all this. Like I've made decisions, shaped my decisions to be. I've done the opposite. I've put all my eggs into something that could fail, and then it fails, and then now I'm fucked.
Yeah,
I've done that a lot. That's why I'm
absolutely.
reacting like
No,
this.
I mean, it happens to everyone. Like it's not really something to be ashamed of because it's just part of us learning these things. And usually, I mean, people don't even get to know all these different things and actually think about it in this way. They never really take
Mm.
that step back because then they just start looking for the next thing. At least we actually know the name of the game now,
Yeah.
you know?
Now I see. Okay, there are levels like that.
Exactly, exactly.
Actually,
And
good.
and that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy things. That doesn't mean you can't tell a funny story to your friends, and that doesn't mean you can't have relationships or businesses or anything, right? You could be in all
Yeah.
3 levels or all 4 levels at once. It's just a matter of where you're putting all your eggs.